July 2, 2025. In Kigali, two African leaders, Paul Kagame of Rwanda and Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, stood on stage and shook hands, sending shockwaves across the globe. This wasn't just a photo op. They signed an agreement to form Africa's first independent nuclear energy alliance. No Western brokers, no foreign oversight, just African ambition, born in Kigali and Ouagadougou. For decades, Africa's power story was about shortages and dependence. Suddenly, it was about atomic power, on African terms. The symbolism was clear: Rwanda, the disciplined builder; Burkina Faso, the bold liberator. Together, they embodied a new African synergy. This wasn't just about electricity. It was about lighting up a continent's imagination. The handshake was a promise. Africa would no longer wait for permission or a seat at someone else's table. It was a declaration of independence from a system that kept Africa behind. Kagame and Traoré looked the world in the eye and said, "We've got this." They weren't just signing for reactors. They were signing for a future built by Africans. For Africans. The world watched, stunned, as Africa changed the game. The handshake lasted seconds, but its impact is still echoing. It was a leapfrog moment, a new chapter, written live. The message was unmistakable. Africa's future would be powered by its own hands, minds, and energy. The world would never see Africa the same way again. Africa's nuclear story has always been one of exclusion. The continent's uranium powered foreign cities, while African villages stayed dark. Attempts at homegrown nuclear programs were stifled by foreign control and endless red tape. Approval, technology, and oversight always came from outside. Africa's ambitions were leashed, not launched. The message, "Leave this to the grown-ups." Kagame and Traoré's alliance shattered that narrative. This was African-led, African-funded, and for African benefit, a rebellion against history. It was a direct challenge to the old order, bypassing the gatekeepers. Africa was done being a resource provider. It was stepping up as a power producer. At the heart of this plan are two leaders, Paul Kagame, the architect, and Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the rebel. Kagame rebuilt Rwanda from tragedy, turning it into a model of discipline and progress. For him, nuclear energy is the next step in Rwanda's transformation. Traoré, young and defiant, ousted colonial influence and champions Africa for the Africans. For him, nuclear power is about sovereignty and breaking free from dependence. What unites them? A shared belief. True independence requires energy independence. You can't build factories or run hospitals on an unreliable grid. Kagame brings execution and investment. Traoré brings revolutionary courage and a connection to Africa's restless youth. Together, they fuse pragmatism and idealism. Their partnership is a blueprint for modern African leadership, diverse, dynamic, and united by purpose. They're not just building reactors, they're building a new model for the continent. The builder and the liberator, side by side. It's a powerful message. Africa's future will be shaped by many kinds of leaders, working together. The world is watching and learning. This is a new kind of African alliance. Kagame and Traoré's vision is bigger than power plants. It's about total energy independence. They want to end the irony of a resource-rich continent known as the Dark Continent. Their plan, localized sovereign power grids, immune to global market shocks and foreign agendas. African energy, generated by Africans, for Africans. This is the fuel for a new industrial revolution. Factories, data centers, and modern agriculture, all powered by reliable electricity. The goal moved from exporting raw materials to building complex economies at home. It's about jobs, a skilled middle class, and Africa producing, not just consuming, technology. Most importantly, it's about cutting the invisible strings of foreign influence. With independent nuclear power, Africa can make decisions based on its own interests. This is a vision of true sovereignty, an empowered Africa, at last. The alliance's plan is technical, detailed, and tailored for Africa. At its core, joint research and training centers, starting in Kigali, to build a new generation of African nuclear experts. The centerpiece, small modular reactors, SMRs. Flexible, affordable, and perfect for Africa's growing grids. SMRs can be added as demand grows, making energy expansion scalable and sustainable. Rwanda will handle project management and research. Burkina Faso and its Sahelian allies will secure uranium supplies. The result, a closed loop: African uranium, African reactors, African engineers. This isn't about buying tech from abroad, it's about building an industry from the ground up. University partnerships, scholarships, and vocational training will create a world-class African workforce. Within a decade, the entire operation, from mines to control rooms, will be run by Africans. It's long-term thinking, not just power, but empowerment. The knowledge and skills will stay on the continent, creating a legacy of independence. This is how Africa leapfrogs into the future. It's a plan for power and for pride. The world's reaction was immediate and telling. Western capitals responded with cautious statements, focusing on risks and oversight, thinly veiled skepticism. Moscow and Beijing, meanwhile, offered quiet encouragement, seeing opportunity and a shift in global power. Across Africa, the mood was electric. Talk shows buzzed, leaders watched, and ordinary people felt a surge of hope. For once, a high-tech initiative was being led by Africans for Africans. Analysts everywhere debated the risks and rewards, but in Africa, it was a story of possibility. The alliance sparked a continent-wide conversation. If they can do it, why can't we? The narrative was changing, from risk to hope, from doubt to ambition. Africa was finally taking center stage. The Kigali Handshake set off a domino effect across Africa. Burkina Faso's neighbors, Mali and Niger, quickly joined talks, seeing nuclear power as a path to dignity and development. Niger, long a uranium exporter, now wanted to power its own future. Mali saw energy as the key to jobs and stability. The alliance was evolving from a bilateral pact to a regional powerhouse. Even countries like Guinea, Ghana, and Kenya began to rethink their own nuclear ambitions. The old, slow, foreign-supervised model was being challenged. A new, pragmatic Pan-Africanism was emerging, one built on concrete projects, not just rhetoric. Energy security was becoming the cornerstone of real freedom. The risks are real: money, sabotage, technical challenges. Financing nuclear power is daunting, and old powers may try to undermine the alliance. Internal resistance will come from those profiting off energy poverty. Safety and security are non-negotiable. Any mistake would be catastrophic. But on the ground, the mood is one of radical hope. Africans are tired of excuses and darkness. This alliance is a promise reliable power for homes, businesses, and hospitals. The risks are high, but the rewards are higher. For the first time, the risk is being taken for the people, not at their expense. It's a gamble on a better future, and people are ready for it. This story is about more than reactors. It's about who writes Africa's future. For centuries, Africa's story was written by outsiders. The nuclear alliance is a defiant no more. It's Africa becoming the author of its own destiny. By mastering advanced technology, these nations are asserting equality on the world stage. They're not asking for aid or permission. They're building, investing, and trusting their own people. This is empowerment, from managing poverty to creating wealth. It's part of a larger movement, controlling data, culture, and finance. The nuclear alliance is the boldest step yet in reclaiming control. As the world watches, Africa is turning on a light of pride and possibility for 1.4 billion people. The message: our future is not up for negotiation. Our potential is not for sale. Our destiny is in our own hands, and it will be powered by our own sun, rivers, and now our own atom. This is Insight Africa, where power is not borrowed, but made.